Morning, everyone. Welcome to Network X. Welcome to Dallas. It is a great privilege for me to be kicking off the conference for sure when it's only 25 miles drive from my house. I've been looking at the agenda for the conference, and a lot of the topics and the content are pretty aligned with my personal belief, which is we are an important moment in our industry. I think there's three things that we're seeing. One is a massive investment in networks in North America. We're seeing nationwide wireless network, build of fibers, overbuilders, upgrades of infrastructure, massive investment. The second thing that we're seeing is there's a true shift in the architecture. It used to be a couple of crazy operators trying to drive the industry, but it's no longer the case. Everyone is shifting into openness, cloud native, and programmability. And the third one that we're seeing is the emergence of AI. And when you bring those three things together, what you can see is a true drive to a true shift and a radical shift in how we should think about planning, designing, and operating large-scale network. It also creates opportunities for new business models and new ways of monetizing networks. And what I'm going to do in the next 13 minutes is to try to provide AT&T perspective in the context of the framework I just shared. Our mission at AT&T is to provide the best converged connectivity in North America. For this, we're building two scaled platforms, a 5G wireless network and a multi-gig fiber network. On wireless, as you probably know, we announced our wireless modernization at the end of 23. And in that modernization, we're pretty much touching every cell site on our network. And what we do is a couple of things. One is we're deploying all of our mid-band spectrum that we've acquired a couple of years ago. And we already cover 270 million pops with mid-band, and we're going to cover 300 million pops at the end of 26. The other thing that we're doing is we're significantly simplifying the configuration of our cell site. And with that, there's several benefits to our customers. One, we're clearly adding capacity and speed to the benefits of our customers. We're also opening up new geographies for the AT&T Internet Air product, which is our fixed wireless product. But in addition to that, it helps us to continue and transition and migrate our subscribers into the standalone core so we can provide them with a full 5G experience. We launched our standalone core a couple of years ago. We're already migrating subscribers. All of our fixed wireless customers are on the standalone core. We're developing advanced networking services for enterprise customers. You can think about connected car, where few of them are already pretty much early adopters of ideas about how they can create differentiated experience and support different policies inside of a vehicle. So pretty exciting things when it comes to the 5G standalone core. We have a fairly large customer base of IoT and connected devices. And in order for us to continue and support their transition to 5G so we can collectively continue to innovate, we are enabling 5G RedCap nationwide on our commercial network later this summer. The significance of this, if you don't know what RedCap is, reduced capability, is really the ability to push down the cost of module and chipset for IoT and make their use of the network way more efficient. We all at AT&T feel privileged to serve our first responders and healthcare professionals with 2.99 million square feet of wireless network supporting 30,000 agencies of first responders. Over the years, we built a dedicated network for FirstNet with priorities and preemption. And what we've announced last year is a landmark agreement with the FirstNet Authority to allow us to extend those relationships into the next phase of FirstNet. And in the heart of this is really to build a 5G standalone core for first responder, so we can build a lot of public safety experiences on top of this, as well as over time, moving the FirstNet Band 14 spectrum from LTE into 5G. The talk of the day in our industry is satellite connectivity. It's actually an extraordinary development and innovation. Honestly, when AST, our partner, came talking to us 6, 7 years ago with this idea, I'll be honest, me personally, I was a little bit skeptical. Really? This is what's going to happen on our standard phone? But here we are. We can use our standard phone off the grid in the middle of the canyon, and being able to have connectivity, it's really important to our customers. And AST that we work with, we're great partners over the years. It's a company that together we were able to do the first 4G call over satellite, and the first 5G call over satellite, and actually the first video call over satellite. And as they launch more satellites and birds into the sky, we will follow with our commercial service in the near future. AT&T is the largest internet fiber provider in North America. We said publicly that in 2025 we will pass 30 million living units. Well, we're in 2025, so you should assume that we're going to achieve this soon. We also said at the end of last year that we're not going to stop there, and we're going to cover 50 million living units by the end of 2029, and we have all intentions of doing that. And I want to remind everyone something that is really important. Fiber is the best technology for broadband. It provides you with symmetrical speeds. It provides you with a reliable and resilient infrastructure because there's no electronics between the central office and the customer premise. So it's really the best performance to what people are using at home and the usage that we're seeing at home. And with the XGS-PON technology that allows us to provide speeds of 5 and 2 gig to our customers, we're already covering close to 20 million living units with that technology, and that is a base that is upgradable to 25 gig in the future when we decide to move there. But when we don't have fiber, because it may be outside of our footprint, or when we need a catch product for some of our corporate customers, or when a business may need a different solution for broadband, or where we know that we're going to build fiber in a couple of years, we want to lead with our fixed wireless product called AT&T Internet Air. That is now supported nationwide on the business side and opening up, as I said, more and more geographies to be able to support our customers with broadband over wireless. How many people here know what Purple is? Yeah, maybe 10. Purple is a telco-led open source community with one purpose in mind. If you think about mobile devices, there's 2 operating systems, right? If you think about laptop, there's 2 operating systems. If you think about servers, there's 2 operating systems. If you think about home gateways, there's dozens of operating systems. Pretty much every operator has its own flavor of the operating system running in a CPE. That is not a scalable model, and this is what we're trying to change with Purple, creating one operating system and platform for innovation that can run across fiber providers around the world. We are part of the Purple community, and in fact, we already have the Purple container software running on close to 12 million of our CPE. This allows to run application and services on top of our gateway very efficiently in terms of the compute and resources that exist on the CPE. And as you think about 26 and beyond, you can imagine that each CPE that we're going to introduce is going to run on Purple. Convergence, right? You keep hearing AT&T talking about convergence. When we build fiber routes, we don't only think about consumer broadband. We think about mobile backhauling, how we can densify our network. We also think about enterprise services, how we can be smart about how we're putting our fiber routes into the ground and how we support different use cases and customers cohorts. I do want to take a couple of minutes and talk about our network journey. We've been very vocal about this over the last decade. I think you know the story, but this is coming to reality. And the base of this, our network is converged, is open, we're pushing for disaggregation, we're moving to cloud native, and the ultimate goal is to have a modern and programmable network. And we're doing this across all layers of our network. You know the story about the core backbone because we've been vocal about this, right? 80% of that is already disaggregated, and we're pushing the same concept into the edge. And I think I can predict that in 5 years, I believe that the majority of our network is going to be running on either a compute-based or on an open disaggregated platform. And I do want to call your attention of a couple of interesting stuff here. Mobility core. How many times in the past you heard our industry talking about converging networking and IT? Well, for the first time, we can start talking about CI/CD pipelines in networking. I'll give you an example. We have a multi-vendor strategy when it comes to our mobility core. And if you think about this, we have about 20-ish network function that needs to run on dozens of pods or nodes across the nations. Imagine us bringing all of our vendors and all of those network functions to the same CI/CD pipeline. So we can test, we can deploy, we can configure, and we can lifecycle management all of those functions with the same pipeline, with the same infrastructure. Quite impressive. I think we've been vocal about how we're going into the RAN. That's the other parts of the wireless modernization, opening up our RAN infrastructure, moving to an open RAN infrastructure, and as we said, 70% of our traffic will run on open interfaces by the end of 2026. And the only way to get into that audacious goal of autonomous networks, no one has autonomous networks, not even hyperscalers, no one out there. But it's a good ambition to have. And we are trying to measure ourselves against the TM Forum 5 levels of autonomy model. And the only way to get there is actually what you see here in the slide. You need to have an open architecture. Data has to flow up. You need to have a programmable network in order for you to take advantage of things like artificial intelligence and how you can build intelligence on top of the network, because otherwise, if you don't have the data and if you cannot close the loop, then it's never going to be autonomous. So this is why this is all important. I'm running out of time here, I'm saying, so I'm going to try to speed up a little bit. I want to talk about different ways of monetizing networks. It starts with a true converged network. Network APIs are not only for wireless network. We want to bring both. And if you think about this, what we're doing is that we're building a software-based exposure layer on top of our converged network. And now you can imagine a true platform for innovation. And I encourage you to think about those innovations in 3 buckets. 1, our own first-party network product and services. We have an API-first mandate inside of the company, so we want to make sure that we use the same infrastructure no matter which product and services we're building. AT&T Turbo is a great example for this. Internet backup is a great example for that. The second bucket is what we called wholesale. We want to bring our wireless experience to more customers, so we work with MVNOs. We want to bring our fiber experience to more customers, so we work with what we call open access providers. The only way to do that at scale in a repeatable way is to have reusable, standardized APIs. And the thing that really gets me excited is how we allow third-party developer and innovator innovate on top of our network. And that is what we're doing through those network APIs, because anyone now, doesn't matter if this is an RApps on top of our RAN infrastructure, or if this is a fraud prevention product, or if this is something that creates a differentiated experience on top of a wireless or wireline network. All ideas can come from different type of developers and can be built on top of our network. We also have our network API accelerator that is open up for everyone with capabilities like slicing, URSP, Camara APIs, etc. So pretty exciting moment for us. And just to summarize, I want to go back to what I said at the beginning. Very exciting moment in the industry. Our ability to innovate and take advantage of the emerging technologies and development happening around us and bring them in to the advantage of how we operating and building network to serve our customers is probably the most exciting time that we had in our industry for a really long time. So with that, I leave you. Thank you so much for having me, and enjoy the rest of the conference.